This is our second time visiting the Llangollen and Montgomery canals. Our first visit was 5 years ago, and since then another mile of the Montgomery Canal has been opened, so we're heading to see it. Yesterday we left the Shropshire Union Canal and came up the 4 Hurlstone locks. Today we're aiming to get to Wrenbury, which is 5 miles and 5 locks away. Here we're passing Swanley Marina. It's funny to think that we made an offer on a boat here before we bought Perseverance in 2017, only to get ghosted by the broker. Narrowboat Annabelle too. You didn't have a working engine, but we could have given you a good life. Michael's walked ahead to set the lock, and he just helpfully shouted back to tell me that there's a strong flow into the canal below the lock. I can see it from the stern, and I decide that I need to give the boat a little bit of extra speed to help me steer through the strong current. When the bow is pushed over, I oversteer on the correction, and water now pushing on the stern accelerates the turn. By the time I decide I need to go into hard reverse to stop the boat, it's too late, and I bump the lock wall. Slower is always better, unless you have a lot of room to manoeuvre. I'm including this clip for transparency, so please be kind in the comments. And here's a view back to that overflow that tried to mess with me. We're approaching the second Swanley lock now, and this one has a bywash coming into the canal too. I won't deny that there isn't a big part of me that wants to hand the tiller to Michael, but I also know that I can do this, and I don't want to give in to that fear. And I'm so glad that I didn't, as the approach and entrance goes perfectly this time, and there's not even the smallest bump. And yes, the angle and volume of the outflow is much kinder, but I'm still going to take this as a win. This canal is really popular, and sometimes that means you have to wait at a lock, but more often than not that means you get to have a nice conversation and you get some extra help with the paddles and gates too. From here it's just over 1 mile to the next lock. Ahead is the first of the 3 Baddeley locks. All of the locks on the Llangollen Canal can accommodate boats that are up to 7 feet wide and 72 feet long, and so while you won't see any wide beams on this waterway, you'll see some really long narrow beams. The bywash outflow is even more gentle on this lock, which I'm very grateful for. I recently made a Facebook post asking why in my observation that when it comes to boats with mixed gender crews, there's more men piloting narrowboats than women, and there's more women operating locks than men. I got almost 1,000 replies to that post, and there were quite a few observable trends in those replies. A significant number of women said that they didn't have the confidence to drive the boat into the locks, and a number of men also stated that in their opinion women had less confidence. Now I've got a lot of views on that trend that I won't be going into right now, but my biggest takeaway is that it's a huge shame. There's no physical or biological bias for this confidence gap. Of course, some people will have medical reasons why they can't steer or do the locks. That shouldn't be gender biased. I do agree that it can be quite intimidating. Locks can be deep and dark and smelly, and the overflowing water can be scary and noisy, but it's really hard to sink a narrowboat, as you can see from earlier in this video. I'd encourage all crew members to be proficient in all tasks. You never know when someone will be injured or away and you'll need to do a solo boat move. Build up your confidence slowly on quiet canals with no gongoozlers, in shallow and narrow locks where the turbulence is going to be less. Do everything extra slowly, including the driving and the raising of the paddles, and enjoy. I can't recommend persevering with driving enough. And that comes from someone who didn't drive for years. If I can do it, anyone can do it. There's a pair of old working boats coming down the next lock, and seeing as the first boat is pulling the second, we're going to wait for them both to come through before we go up to the lock. So I hang back and give them plenty of room whilst Michael helps them through. It's so nice to see these old boats using the canal. Here you can see just how much the outflow from the bywash can push the boat across the canal. How much you need to countersteer to correct this really depends on the force of the flow and the speed of the boat, and even the wind. There's a lot to consider, and I'm very happy to get it right again this time. It looks like I'm having a bit of a debrief with Michael here. I'm probably asking him to compliment my steering after the debacle that was the first lock of the day. Honestly, he couldn't care either way. After Baddeley top lock, we're having a change of driver, and I'm walking, and it looks like George is keen to be walking with me. And that's where we're going to end this vlog. We've travelled about 5 miles through 5 locks, and we're going to moor up just shy of Wrenbury. Thanks so much for watching.